What is perfectionism? Well, one way to think about perfectionism is to conceptualize it as one part nature and one part nurture. Some children seem to have a biological predisposition toward increased sensitivity, anxiety, and perfectionism. However, upbringing and environment are enormously influential. When some children are raised in critical environments with unrealistically high expectations, it can be scary to make mistakes, and the child must find a way to cope and to survive. According to Pete Walker, author of Complex PTSD From Surviving to Thriving, perfectionism is an instinctual defense for children floundering in anxiety and fear. It gives a sense of direction and purpose for children and a place to channel feelings of not being good enough without jeopardizing their relationship with their caregivers. Think about that for a second. It gives them a place to channel feelings of not being good enough without jeopardizing their relationship with their caregivers. You see, children need the adults in their lives for survival. Rather than risk losing those relationships or being punished, the internal critic or superego overrides the child's sense of self or healthy ego with the goal of gaining control and acceptance. Having high standards and expectations can serve us well. When it starts to impact our well-being or our relationships, however, it may be necessary to re-examine our beliefs and find balance. A few signs of perfectionism are chronic procrastination, analyzing and agonizing over very small details, constantly checking and rechecking, an inability to complete a task or assignment, and overthinking. Feelings of anxiety, frustration, depression, and anger are commonly associated with high levels of perfectionism. Perfectionism and anxiety tend to have a cyclical relationship. Anxiety increases when we are constantly trying to meet very high standards. Quite often, there is a fear of judgment or failure at the root. When we take a closer look at perfectionism, we also see themes of self-hate, self-disgust, micromanagement, worrying, obsessing, looping, guilt, shame, overproductivity, workaholism, and harsh judgments about self and others. If you find that perfectionism is having a negative impact on your life, there are a few things you can do to try to reduce the impact. The first is perspective taking. Try looking at the situation through someone else's eyes. Would a friend see the situation differently? Sometimes it can be hard for people who struggle with perfectionism to see things from different points of view. Secondly, try zooming out a little. Take a look at the big picture. Are the small details important in the grand scheme of things? What is the worst thing that can happen if you make a small mistake? Thirdly, practice realistic statements. Remind yourself that everyone makes mistakes sometimes. Over time and with practice, you may find that you allow yourself and others a little more grace.